Okay, this is my impression of our visit yesterday to the sheet metal facility. Um, when we got there, the broker was not there to meet us, so we were able to walk into the facility without anyone saying anything to us. Um, we walked to one of the workers. He directed us to the office area, so basically walked in. And then at which point we were able to walk about the office area. Really, even at that point, no one said anything to us. It wasn't until Don called the broker on his cell phone that the business broker came out from the back where he met us. Now, the owner was made aware of our presence on the facility, and even at that point, he did not come in. I found that kind of odd. So we finally got to talking with the broker, and the owner came in and went out. Again, this is kind of odd because we have a meeting with this guy, and he's running around, but it's neither here nor there. But I'm pointing that out to indicate the measure of interest in selling the business or not. Later on in the day, we found out that the owner had some tax issues, and that was the primary reason for putting the business on the market, selling the business. And he said that he's since found, well, he's since negotiated, in the process of negotiating with the IRS to settle on some tax bill that the IRS basically told him that he owed. Okay, so what that got me thinking, later on was that there definitely not any system and process in place to currently for that business, at that business. So what I think that means is that, it makes me wonder, what sort of systems they have currently in place to minimize expenses, for one thing, to look at the finances. One of the things that I noticed when we got the finances were the numbers were that they seemed like they were thrown together. And if you look at the place, it doesn't look like it's really managed all that well, in the sense that, it's like there's no manager in place. The owner seems to be the person that's running everything. He was, I noticed a few times during our stay there, he was the one that was, directing the employees to do various aspects of the jobs. He was getting updated and all that. So he seems like he's very much a hands-on owner. His partner was away, and again, I don't know, to what extent that maybe, this observation may be a reflection of our lack of experience in getting exposed to a business of that type and operating at that size, and to what extent owner really needs to be involved in running all these different aspects of the business. So then the question that pops up is, is this the type of business that can be run by an absentee owner, which is primarily what we're looking to be. So one can imagine then, if the owner was to take a vacation for a month, or was to fall ill, for a month or 3 months, because what would happen to that place? What would happen to operations? And one question that keeps popping in my mind is, how do they keep track of inflows, cash inflows and outflows? Is for any business for that matter, if you're an absentee owner, how do you keep track of that so that you are not getting ripped off? So that is a concern, and at a place like that where, you know, it seems like, you know, it's not highly organized. You know, how does that work? How would we get that to work? So that's something that popped in my mind. There were other things too. It wasn't all bad. But to stay on the theme, you know, there were, if you go into the different office areas, what you see is like a lot of, it's very, you know, cluttered, sort of chaotic look, you know, to go along with that theme. So, you know, the office environment, that particular office environment is not very welcoming if you have a client that comes over and pitching your business or that company and what they're able to do. But it looks like it's very cluttered, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Cluttered in the sense that it's not very professional or welcoming people in terms, you know, and it, you know, really reflects on people's response to how they respond to you. I think, and your ability to ask them to say, you know, well, you're going to pay a premium price, but you're going to deliver value and all that. So that's one thing that I noticed. But on the flip side, you know, that means that there's work being done. But I think, you know, so that's something that needs to be addressed. The office area is old. It's a very old business. The carpet withered. Not just the carpet to be persnickety, but overall, you know, the place needs to be renovated and modernized a little bit, so that when you have clients that come in, it's a very professional. The work, yes, the work is being done. People working hard, you know, but you know, you have a, you know, an environment that, you know, that says, you know, like, we're very serious, you know, and that's why we're asking you to pay this much money for our services. Along that line, so we see that there is a lot of value, and we see that there's different number of ways that we could improve and add value to the company, so that we can increase cash flow, because they don't really have any systematic way of like soliciting business and keeping in contact with their former clients and following up with their clients. When I asked the owner, you know, how, you know, he gets his clients, he says basically mostly by referrals. You know, as he's been in existence for 25 years, he's been doing business for 25 years. That's good and bad, because basically he's primarily, you know, the dominant source of goodwill for the company. Everybody associates the company with him. I think if we come in and take over, you know, what does that mean for us? You know, we be able to continue the ship, you know. The answer to that question, of course, is if what he told us is true, you know, then, you know, it's great, because he wants to stay on and continue, you know, operating the business. What got the business, you know, to go back to it, what compelled him to put the business up for sale was because he had tax issues, but, you know, because he's negotiating the tax issues, you know, that means, you know, he's in a position where he apparently doesn't have to sell, but he says that he wants to sell, and that he wants to stay on and continue work. Now, the challenge is that, you know, he's 69 years old, so, you know, how long he wants to continue working, or he's able to work, that's a completely different story. So he says he wants to continue work until, you know, God willing, you know, he dies. So those are his words. But he's 69 years old. You don't know how long, you know, he's truly interested in. We don't know if he's selling us what we want to hear. Okay. So that's an issue. The other thing is, you know, he's pretty much hands-on. So what is that, how does that play for us, for example? If we, take over, we buy the business and he's operating, and, to what extent is he going to allow us to implement the changes that we're looking to put in place so that we can take the business to the next level. So that's something to think about. As far as other observations, we asked them about concerns about customer concentration. Well, supplier concentration before we get to some customer concentration. I asked him about that. He said that he gets his supplies primarily from a distributor that is a few blocks from the facility. And then later on, I brought a question about supplier concentration, and he said that, well, he doesn't, just focus on one supplier. He gets his supplies from 10 or 12 different places, which is kind of like interesting to me, because it sounds like it may be a contradiction, so that we need to flesh that out. Like I said, the place looks like it's, it's kind of disorganized is the best way. And the owner is basically focused on the business, which is what I guess you'd expect for a business of that size. It's not very efficiently run. So that again is another opportunity for us, to come in. So we could, if we have someone that we can work with, and by that I mean the owner, then we could come in over the course of a number of years, like turn the business around and get the ship, running correctly. Let's see. So we talked about customer concentration. He says that the business was down because the economy was down. And that was what was reflected in the numbers. Okay. Right. To continue, so the owner said that during the recession, basically that business was down, so that he didn't really make any money. He kept on all his workers, and he didn't fire anyone. And that perhaps he should have fired someone, and that business is turning around. Now, I wonder if that's what the issue is with broker not getting us the numbers. I suspect that based on the owner telling us that he had issues with the IRS in terms of taxes, the broker telling us. So the owner telling us that him losing, basically he didn't fire anyone in the past few years. I wonder if that is an explanation for the broker basically having struggled to get us the numbers. And my thought is that maybe this is an explanation for him taking so long and saying the accountant didn't get it to us and all that. The concern is basically is this business going to be able to stand up during due diligence? Now, Frank, the broker, told us that they don't take a business unless they believe they can sell it. The question is, we're looking at the business based on the numbers. And our main concern, our biggest concern is whether or not the seller is going to be able to, one, stand up during due diligence so that the numbers purport to be stand to the shine during the due diligence process. We really don't want to waste money going forward and trying to acquire this business if he's not able to, substantiate, prove the numbers that he's presenting to us. Now, we haven't seen the finances, so we hope that he's able to substantiate those numbers, and which brings me to the conclusion of our visit. We noticed that not abruptly. We got there at 11 o'clock, and it was a little bit after 12. I'd say 12:15, 12:20. I don't know how long visits typically last. But the owner, basically wound down the meeting. Not abruptly, but a little bit, abruptly. Not too abruptly, but somewhat. He just concluded and said, if you were interested in asking him more questions, he'd be glad to answer them. But that's it. If we're interested, fine. And then the broker kind of did the same thing. So I don't know if the broker and the owner had a conversation to decide where they felt that were not seriously interested or interested in moving forward and capable of buying his business. So that's what I noticed. Now, as far as what is there in terms of value, we don't see any marketing principles in place. We think that the business, he says that the business did $8 million before, and so I don't know, what the multiple is that he can prove that will substantiate the $4 million that he's asking for, and whether or not a bank will be able to buy the numbers that he's throwing, and what he's expecting. He says he wants to stay in place and work. And that part of the reason that he's selling is again, for the third time, to say that it's to pay the IRS. So the question is, is he really serious about $4 million? So we need to figure out how to approach him, because I think there's a lot there. He says he made $8 million, so I think we can. The facility, can open up and work multiple shifts. He says that he's working 1.5 shifts right now. He can expand to a second shift. He doesn't do overtime as a cost-saving measure. So that's something else that he said. So we can expand and add a second shift. And that he says that that digital signage or digital media is a source of revenue that they can hit. So the question is, so that's a possibility for getting more business. The broker and the owner seem to think that they need a salesperson to increase the business. We think that one of the things that we can do is basically leverage the existing customers and just tap into that base and just see if we can increase profits and revenues. One of the things that I was thinking is we could probably renovate the place so that the new prices, the higher prices that we're asking, will reflect the place and the money that was spent, and it'll be competitive, but you can ask for more money for a job, and we could probably leverage his existing relationship and referrals to find new clients and customers, in digital media and existing customers. He says that he's done business with the government, but one of his frustrations is that it takes so long. The application process takes so long. You have to jump through some hoops to get that money. So he's kind of stayed away from it. But he used to have a fairly healthy business, making bullets for the government. and other things for the government, but maybe what may be required is to just have someone, who's well aware of that side of things and see if they could, we can hire someone who would basically write the application for the government and something to write the applications for the government for the jobs and for the various jobs and to see if we bought it. That's one of the things that we could do. What else? Salespeople. We want to hire them to bring in more business. So number of different ways. We felt like business could grow. I think we have to spend money to renovate the place. I think I said that. Along that line, safety, I asked him about workers' compensation, what he does to minimize workers' compensation costs, because I felt that perhaps if you're paying any kind of insurance, safety protocols are put in place so that the place looks spotless and clean and professional, more of an effort than what I notice now. Then maybe the insurance could be lowered. So that was one of the things that I noticed. He didn't seem to think. He's like, he didn't seem to think that. He didn't give much thought to it. Like maybe somebody cuts a finger here and there. I wonder about that. What else? Oh, as far as acquisition, again, we don't have much in the way of numbers, because we didn't get the finances. But he seems to think that the equipment that he has there is worth easily $2.5 million. But the broker says that it was appraised at $900,000, so that could be leveraged for the acquisition. That could be used to leverage the acquisition for the acquisition. We did not discuss owner financing at this point, seller financing, and that is because we wanted to wait to get the other numbers to see before we proceed. I really don't know. I think, like I said, I think he's interested in selling, but I really don't know how serious he is about selling. But it was definitely a good experience to actually go out and see facility and talk to the owner, and actually get some momentum going as far as like acquiring a business. And the owner seems like a pretty okay guy. Seems like a nice guy. He said that he lost a number of his workers. The business is in an empowerment zone. So that I think he gets some kind of credit for hiring people within that zip code in that facility. But the problem is the people in that facility felt like they were not very good workers, whereas the worker that he has, who were a lot predominantly from Central America, that they were, they worked, when the work was there, they would work all hours, and that, the people in the local community were not interested in working. They wanted Saturdays off. They were not serious, hardworking. And that, sometime in the past, the Immigration and Natural Services had paid him a visit, and he lost 14 skilled workers, but like he has quite a few of the workers fixed their paperwork, and that he basically was able to hire them back. He doesn't pay people under the table. If they're skilled at $15 an hour, then he pays them $15 an hour. So the question that just popped in my mind is, what is the current situation is as far as like not only workers' comp, but also insurance and other expenses associated with with running a facility like that, as far as healthcare and the like, working compensation, of course, because I think it's a place where people could get injured. So how does that play with workers' compensation, and what he has done to shop around, what can be done to shop around to see if expense, could be minimized, but the value in terms of like the type of insurance that's in place could be, I guess, improved upon. That is just about everything that I can recall from yesterday's meeting. Hopefully, we'll be able to get more along the lines of communication with the broker and whether or not this guy is very serious. We forgot to ask the owner, what the lease situation is. Broker mentioned that that the owner had a handshake deal with the current landlord. But that's something that has to be ironed out and taken before we move forward. We also need to ask the owner about his current relationship with the bank that he has, and if there are any liabilities in place, because he says he bought the insurance. I'm sorry, he didn't buy the insurance. He bought the equipment that he has. Equipment outright. And all the money that he made, he put it back into the business and invest in the business. So then, our thought is, okay, perhaps we could sell some of this equipment and lease. That's a possibility. What we can't finance, perhaps we can for the acquisition, post-acquisition, perhaps we can sell and lease as a way of cutting down on expenses, and try to think of different ways to increase our debt service coverage ratio so that the business value goes up. Lots of opportunities to increase the value of his business, and we'll see what happens. All right, I think that's just about everything that I can think of. I really can't think of anything else. That maybe Don can think of some other things, but that's everything that I heard. No! Put it back, Ricky. Put it back.